Hello, this is Bill Bateman, and I'll be your instructor for MBA 632, Measurement 1 this semester in your program. The purpose of this video is just to give some comment on the measurement framework that was in your course pack for this week. I think the best way to describe this first slide and what it's trying to say is that measurement is integrative, meaning that it covers many different disciplines within business and management. And we'll be looking at different measurements throughout your study during the MBA program. For instance, in that first box, strategic metrics, we'll see that metrics will come up in 664, which is a course in satisfying shareholders. The line of business box will be covered this semester with Dr. Fairbairn in the satisfying customers class. You may have already found that some metrics have already been covered in your leadership classes with Dr. Roush or Dr. Thomas. Later, or again in this semester, you'll be looking at the commercial health under tactical metrics with Dr. Fairbairn in 652 as you look at things like competitive advantage, customer satisfaction, and brand image. Again in 634, which is corporate finance, you'll be looking at some of the cost structures, capital, and capital type topics. And in 624, which is critical thinking 2, you'll be looking at some of the operational metrics such as efficiencies and capacity. Again, in 634, we'll be looking at capital structure metrics. Moving on to operational metrics, in 634, we'll be looking at some revenue metrics. And again, in 652, you'll be looking at some metrics such as price changes in market share. And again, in 632, this semester, we'll be looking at things like gross margin and sales growth. Going on back again to the Critical Thinking 2 course 624, you'll be looking at the operating metrics. And again, in 632 this semester, which is measurement 1 with myself, we'll be looking at some different turnover ratios. All of this leads up to 632, where metrics are developed and analyzed regarding growth, return on invested capital, and cost of capital, which all lead to shareholder value. And then in 624, Critical Thinking 2, you'll be looking at some process feedback inputs into this measurement framework. And then the red circle really identifies some of those topics that we'll be spending a lot of time in this semester in 632 in measurement 1. This slide really shows the financial reporting framework for a company. And it really starts with the organization at the top preparing financial statements based on their operation and financial results, which are then shared with the board of directors. But before that happens, the financial statements are prepared in the three basic financial statements that we'll talk about. The income statement, balance sheet, and statement of cash flows are turned over to auditors who then make a judgment as to whether these results have been presented fairly or not presented fairly. The auditors, along with the organization, then present these results to the audit committee, who will report to the board of directors. Now, this usually works just fine, and most audits are clean audits. However, from time to time, you'll see that there'll be different effects on financial statements. Some of that can be internal control, or management's will override some items within the financial statement preparation. There's things such as earnings management, and then when things really get out of hand, there's fraud. And these types of things can result in an audit that's not clean or is not presented fairly, and then there's another loop to remedy these situations. These financial statements are not only used just between the board of directors and the managers of the company internally, but they're also used externally by other stakeholders of the organization, such as customers, vendors, debt holders, equity holders, employees, and other members of the public at large. That concludes this overview of the first two slides. The next 4 or 5 slides within your packet there have quite a bit of narrative, and you should be able to understand those without any further comment from me at this time. However, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to call or send me an email. Again, I look forward to working with you this semester, and have a great week.